Hi, everybody, and welcome to the live stream. I think it's one of the first ones that I've actually done on time. Well, I'm 7 minutes late, but for me, that's like amazingly on time. So thank you so much. And if you do join in the live stream, don't forget to join in the chat room. And there's the super chat if you feel so inclined. We have some awesome patron benefits coming up this month. We have Natalie Nicole Gilbert is a singer and voice actress, and you listen to her voice. She has the most beautiful voice, and she does tons of commercials. And so it's gonna be really interesting to like talk to her and hear her perspective. So that's just for this month. We have a very fun one coming up in August that I'm excited about. But you get to be part of those events and get to hear from talent and what it's like being in films and in television and things like that. So it's just a cool experience. You should definitely check out the Patreon. You get to be part of bonus episodes, extra episodes. You get as much as I can possibly think of, and you could even request reviews for Family Movie Night at certain tiers. So please check out the patron. But I'm so excited to have you all here to be talking about what I've been watching on stage and screen. A lot of fun stuff. Been very busy lately. It was a struggle because my air conditioner broke and needed to be replaced, which I had like no idea. I was totally clueless in that. I thought that an air conditioner would just be like a normal appliance, like getting a new fridge or getting a new, like something like that. No, it was over $5,000. I had no idea that it was like that kind, like basically a car loan. Like, oh my gosh, devastating. So that's been hard. Of course, it had to happen at the worst possible time of the year. So it's been struggle for me lately, but also a lot of great experiences, and been recording a lot of fun stuff, a lot of stuff that probably won't air for a little bit, but it was a lot of fun to record. I have an episode I recorded about Back to the Future with Ryan Cam. This would be on Hallmarkies. So if you enjoyed me and Ryan together, you want to subscribe over there at Hallmarkies Podcast. I also have an episode on A Little Princess that Morgan Stradling and I recorded that will be on Hallmarkies. So if you are a fan of either of those contributors, then make sure you're subscribed, because we do a lot of bonus episodes over at Hallmarkies. It's not just about Hallmark. It's just basically whatever I feel like talking about, I can do over there. And so it's fun, especially during the like drier times when there's not a ton of rom-coms or Christmas movies coming out in, now we have Christmas in July, but during the summer is you end up doing more bonus episodes. So anyway, check that out all over there. But today it's very exciting because I found out that I had crossed the 2 million view count on Rachel's reviews. So that's cool. That's exciting. That's very surreal that anything that I have made has had 2 million views just on Rachel's reviews, not even Hallmarkies. So, hey, that's pretty cool. I thought that was neat. So, thank you to anybody who's viewed anything that I do. And of course, we're doing Teen Movie Month this month. I think that Muppet May was a huge success this year. Of course, it started out with my review of The Cube, which I couldn't believe how that took off. 50,000 views. That was wild. That was very exciting. And it's cool when you take a risk and you try something new and you get like a good response. But all of the Muppet May I thought was just really fun, very validating to make and do, and get good responses from it. So that was great. And now we're doing Teen Movie Month, and that's been also fun. And so get to check off some movies that I've heard a lot about but hadn't seen in some cases. Particularly Grease 2 is coming. I've already recorded the review, but that's coming on Saturday. And so if you're a Grease 2 fan, you definitely want to be subscribed and you want to check out that review coming up on Saturday. I really did enjoy it quite a bit, so I'm excited to hear what y'all think. So let's see here. We have hi everyone. Hi. Yeah, I hope you're all doing great on this Thursday. So let's talk about what I've been watching on the screen. So I saw 28 Years Later, and this seems to be like a theme of this year is seeing franchises, long-running franchises out of order. Because I saw Final Destination Bloodlines 28 years later. I'm going to watch this Predator animated film. I hadn't seen any of those franchises. I haven't seen any Predator, haven't seen any 28 movies or Final Destination. So that's always interesting. So let's see here. I grew up with The Little Princess, and you know I love Morgan, so I'm looking forward to that. Congratulations on 2 million views. Well deserved. Thank you so much, Jeremiah. I really, really appreciate it. And like I said, if you're not at least subscribe, because like I said, we really do quite a few bonus episodes over there on Hallmarkies. So if you could subscribe, that would be great. But yeah, you'll really enjoy our discussion. We talked about both the 1995 and the Shirley Temple. So that was very, very fun. But I saw 28 Years Later, and I debated about whether I should see it because I hadn't seen any of the others and I didn't know, if that would kind of disqualify me. That's where I have the most blind spots is in like horror. I tried to do better in the last few years, but I definitely still have the most blind spots as far as genre for horror. And but I've seen a lot of I've seen Scream, I've seen I've seen Halloween, I've seen My Nightmare on Elm Street. So I've tried to at least take some chips off of that, that list over the last few years. But anyway, and so I saw 20 Years Later, and I had heard so much discussion about it, and I always like to be part of the discussion, that it made really weird choices, and it does. It's a beautiful looking movie. The actors really try hard. I mean, they are given 100%. And I think that it makes interesting choices. So you can watch it and you can talk about it. And I appreciate that. And like I said, it is very well made. But it's failing to me was in the script. It has all of these different ideas, but Alex Garland isn't able to bring them all together into a cohesive narrative. That's where the problem is. Like, for instance, the beginning of the movie is like father-son dynamic, and you think that's going to be the main thrust of the story, and then you don't hardly see from the father again for the like the rest of the 2/3 of the movie. Then at one point it seems like it's going to be a basic zombie movie, and then it's like survival movie, and then like characters are introduced and then they're taken away, and it's just kind of a mess with the script, but it's an interesting mess. So you kind of have to decide if that's interesting to you, or if you want a more cohesive screenplay, then it probably won't be for you. I think that the ending was bizarre and it didn't fit tonally. Again, not cohesive, but it's interesting and you might want to talk about it. So I didn't go fresh on it for 28 Years Later, but if you want to watch something that makes peculiar, odd choices, have something to talk about, then I can see the appeal and I get it. But it didn't all come together for me, but it's not awful. That's something you lose in the whole Rotten Tomatoes world of binary criticism, is the nuance of when something's like in the middle. And I would say that 28 Years Later is in the middle, but the problem lies in the screenplay, not the performances, certainly, and not the filmmaking. So there you go. Okay, then I saw a really good Hallmark movie this month called Villa Amore. This is a very swoony movie about a woman who goes over to Italy. She finds the house that her parents got engaged at in Italy, and she sees that it's one of those €1 houses. And spur of the moment, she decides to buy it. But of course, it's kind of a scam. There's all these loopholes and all this stuff. And, but she sticks to it. She decides to renovate it. And Kevin McGarry is over there. His name is Leo, I think. And he is like an American who's over there, and he ends up helping her. And very, very swoony, very escapist as far as Italy and all this stuff. It's very similar to that movie that was on Netflix that about the same idea of getting the same idea of getting a €1 house in Italy. What was that one called? It's a Villa something. Dolce Villa. La Dolce Villa. That was the Netflix one. And that was cute, but that one's more about like a father-daughter bonding, and there's some romance between for both of the father and the daughter in it. They have romantic interests and arcs, but the main thrust of the story is about a father and a daughter and kind of bonding together. But I like both of those movies, so it's just like Italy home renovation €1 movies are just doing it for me this year. But this was a very, very good Hallmark non-Christmas movie if you're looking for something, because we all know that Hollywood isn't making rom-coms anymore, so you got to go to places like Hallmark to get them, and this is a good one. So yay. Let's see here. This is funny timing. I was just listening to your Talking Disney Frozen song ranking episode. I really enjoyed it. I share your in Stanford's love of Monster. Yes. I am so glad that you listened to that. I feel like those song rankings are really fun and really clever. And none of them have done that well, which is a bummer, because I feel like it's such a good idea, but that's okay. You just have to keep trying and putting stuff out there that I like, and hopefully it will benefit somebody's, even if it doesn't get huge numbers. So I really appreciate you saying that, Jeremiah. Let's see here. I love that song from when I first heard it in the Rotoscopers website ahead of the musical being released. Yeah, Monster is an absolutely beautiful song. It's so good. I'm glad that you caught that. Okay. Then I saw Jurassic World Rebirth. Now, this movie, it's frustrating because I think it's actually pretty close to being what I would want out of this. Like my pitch, and you can see my pitch if you look up on this channel that I did with Oscar a couple years ago. But my pitch for a Jurassic movie would be basically to embrace the monster moviness of it and just have a cruise ship get stranded, and they're there on this island and they can't get off. Like, I think that would be really fun. But they always try to overthink it with all of, in this case, it's like the DNA and they have to get, and their medical miracles are going to result. And I just don't even think any of that is necessary. But the big problem with this movie is that I could have been fine with that and with Scarlett Johansson and Jonathan Bailey's characters, but they keep moving, and Mahershala Ali, but they keep moving away from their characters to this family. And I could have also been fine with the family, but having basically two separate movies spliced together did not help to build tension or to be attached to the characters. And I realized that there was some division in the original Jurassic Park. That you had Hammond and Sattler on one side, and you had you had Grant and the kids on another side. I get that, but we still had enough scenes where we established them as characters, and they felt like they were in the same movie. Whereas these two groups didn't feel like they were in the same movie. It just hurt momentum so bad because I wasn't able to get invested in the situations and the scares and the characters. And that whole family arc just really hurt that movie so much. And it also, like, I mean, what kind of father is this that takes his kids out into the middle of dinosaur infested waters, and it's the only place in the entire world where the dinosaurs can live and are like, you're not supposed to be there. Why would he do that? And why would he bring the annoying boyfriend? It's so stupid. That and I could be fine with that if like it was it's like they needed to pick one or the other. Either have it be about the family or have it be about the scientists. That would have worked better and I would have enjoyed it better. But this splicing, constantly going back and forth, it just hurt momentum and tension and scares and character development and all of that. So it wasn't a good movie, in my opinion. Could you have fun with it? Yes, because there are enjoyable moments. But as far as another one that's really hurt, I think, by the screenplay is that it because it keeps flipping and that it fails to build up the tension that you need. So that's the problem with this one. And so too bad. Oh well. I got to see Clueless on the big screen, and that was really fun. I can't believe that it's a 30-year anniversary of Clueless. I love Clueless so much. I loved watching it with a crowd, everybody laughing, everybody invested, and it's just still so funny. I think to this day, I think the adaptation of Emma is so clever. And I mean, I remember in high school seeing it. I saw it my freshman year of high school, and I remember seeing it and being like, "Okay, the world makes sense." The way it talked about cliques, the way it talked about friendship, and the way, and it's still funny. The scene where Dion goes on the freeway still makes me laugh because I remember when that basically happened to me when I was driving with my dad and I got on the freeway, the belt loop. My dad is freaking out. I'm freaking out. It was hilarious. And so I love Clueless. And one thing that I think Clueless doesn't get enough credit for is that I'm pretty sure that Clueless was the first time I ever saw a gay character in a movie with Christian. I and maybe I was sheltered, Mormon girl. I get that. But that was pretty impactful actually of like how Cher grows to appreciate Christian, the whole arc of it, his character, and he ends up saving Ty. At that point, like he's not he's a pretty well-rounded actually gay character for that time. Like so I don't know, something I never really thought about before until the other day. And I'm like, you know what? I think that really might have been my introduction. So there we go. Let's see here. We got some. How would you feel if Disney makes a live action Brother Bear remake? So it would just be about actual bears? I mean, I have absolutely zero interest in fake bears, like CGI photorealistic bears. But if it was real bears and they kind of worked in the Brother Bear plotline, I mean, I still think they'd have to work and not make Kodai so annoying, but and like get rid of the Phil Collins songs because they're especially that one where like the big reveal is so cringe. I hate that. But if they were doing it with real bears, like they used to do movies like that for Disney. They would have like there was like a bear movie from Disney, like not Disney Nature. Like there was like a bear movie about with like a narrative. Then I might be for it. So there we go. And let's see here. Okay, so then we have Superman. So that was the last movie that I saw for this. So I did not like that first trailer. You can see I did a trailer response on this channel. I thought it just felt like, why are we doing this again? It felt like Man of Steel again with Superman getting thrown a brick at him, just very like dour in tone, that was like, oh no. Like, I'm not the biggest Man of Steel fan because I just feel exhausted by it. And I just don't think it's an enjoyable movie to watch. But like, I've already gotten it. So even if I was a Man of Steel fan, I don't need this new one to be the same thing as of the Superman movie we just got. So I wanted it to be different. But then the second trailer was better, I thought. And so now I went and saw it and I really enjoyed it. And I think what they do that makes it work so well is that they make Superman such a likable character. Like, you are so invested in him and his happiness. And David Cornstalk, he's so good in the role, and he's trying so hard, and that makes him very likable. And I think that it doesn't allow itself to get distracted by various other arcs or various other things going on. The problem with in Man of Steel again is not that there's all the destruction. It's not that a lot. It's not that. It's that it doesn't understand pacing and character development. That's my problem with Man of Steel. Is that, like, honestly, I think once they get through Smallville and the destruction of Smallville, that's enough. Like, I think it should have just gone to the final confrontation with Zod, and if you want to do the neck snapping, if you want to do the neck snapping, then that's fine. But it wouldn't have felt so just like exhausting. I just think it goes, and so that's the problem. It's the problem I have often with Zack Snyder, is that he has interesting ideas, but then I feel like his execution is always frustrating. It's like the most frustrating example of how he could have executed that interesting idea, with like clunky dialogue, like Save Martha. Like, the idea of them both connecting over their mothers is interesting. Him saying it when he's about to kill him is just like so clunky, and it feels ridiculous. It makes you laugh because you're just like, what? Why did he, like, no person would say that, Save Martha, at that moment. You say, save my mom. Like, would be more likely that you'd say. And anyway, I just feel like he has interesting ideas, but then he doesn't know how to package them and execute them in a palatable, enjoyable way for the movies he's making. But that's just my opinion. But in this Superman movie, I feel like it's got a lot of those same ideas, but I think it's packaged and executed in a much better way. We're allowed to become attached to the character of Superman. We see him charming. We see him and Lois together. We see him charismatic and leading people, and all of that. We see him trying and failing, and then trying and succeeding, and all of those elements, I think, make us root for the character. It makes us enjoy the character, and I think that's why it worked so well. And I was so happy watching the movie and seeing the movie. So it's really quite simple when it comes down to it. Is that I think the performance and the writing on the character makes him super likable, and that's why you want to watch the character and enjoy it. So let's see here. I'm not a big Man of Steel fan myself. Loved Corn Sweat since I saw him in Hollywood, which I also enjoyed. Very excited for this take on Superman's story. And I have to say here, if people are telling you that, oh, it's woke or it's political, those people have an agenda. Those people are seeing what they want to see. They have an agenda, usually to get clicks. And I'm not saying that there aren't political elements, because he is a leader. He is an alien. He is all of that's part of his character, but that's always been part of his character. It is not a fundamental aspect of this film. Politics is not. Like, if anything, Batman v Superman is much more political, with everything with the Holly Hunter character and the bringing Superman in, testifying, the various political dynamics. Dark Knight is way more political, with everything with Harvey Dent and everything going on with Gotham. Like, so this movie is about him as a human being and him trying his hardest, and then and can he succeed? It's an underdog story, which sounds crazy for Superman, but I swear it is. It is. And so I'd say you don't have to like it. You might not like it. That's always a possibility. But I just I find it incredibly hard to believe that anybody would not like it because it's political. That's just such a stretch. It's such a reach, and it's somebody saying that to get points in their audience because they know it will be popular and it will make money for them. They will get the views, they will get the things because they've either developed an anti-woke or a woke audience, and so they will say that it's either that it is political either as a point for it or political as a point against it. It is neither of those things. It is a movie about Superman and him trying to figure out how he can contribute to the world and what he wants to do with his life, and should he listen, which parents should he listen to more. And I don't want to give any others away, but I'm just saying, like, reject that line of thought. It is, if people are telling you it's either woke or not woke, that is BS. Don't believe it. It's not true. Okay. So let's see here. So what are your thoughts on the upcoming Cat in the Hat movie? And what are your thoughts on having the Spider-Verse style? It looks good, but I wish we got the Illumination version. Okay, this is an interesting question. So they had the trailer for the Cat in the Hat movie and the Sony animation, and most people seem like responded really poorly to the trailer. The colors are quite stark. Like the white was like white, and so I kind of get why they're having sort of a visual reaction against the animation and the colors. I can understand that. But I kind of felt like they took Looney Tunes and they put it through the Spider-Verse art style. So I was intrigued by it. I was intrigued by that. I think that they are going to have to work really hard to make Cat in the Hat palatable for a feature film. The story in the book is basically he's like a crazy babysitter. I mean, there's really hardly any story. He like comes over and shenanigans happen while babysitting. There's just not a lot of narrative there. It's about the character, and so it looks like they're building almost. It looked like almost Cat in the Hat meets Men in Black to me, with what they were showing and that whole like world and everything. So I'm intrigued. I still love this animation style. So I guess I'm still on board the hybrid animation style, and I'm curious to see what they're going to do with it for this. And if it ends up being really funny, we'll see. But yeah, I don't know. It's gonna be interesting. It was a very polarizing trailer, mostly negative. Almost everybody I know hated that trailer. So yeah. Let's see here. I do think the film looks very fast, though. So much happens in the trailers. I'm rolling my eyes at the overuse of the word woke. I completely agree. They're saying what their audience clicks on. Yep. It is a fast movie, but in a way, I kind of found that refreshing because so many superhero movies these days feel bloated. And so maybe I responded kind of the opposite, of like, oh my gosh, this felt lean and edited, and it didn't, I wasn't bored, it kept going, like the pacing. There's a part in the middle that started to kind of lose me a little bit, but other than that, I didn't mind the fast pacing, but it's a fair criticism. Those kind of criticisms I listen to. Political, woke, that kind of crap, don't listen to it. It's garbage. That's garbage. Okay. I'm looking forward to the new Smurfs movie, but I must warn you, someone saw the movie early and they said it's worse than the Raja Gosling movies. And I actually like the Raja Gosling movies. So y'all know I love Smurfs The Lost Village. Big fan, big defender of that. We did a whole episode talking animation on it. I've talked about it many times. I think it's beautiful. I think it's underrated. I think it's actually a pretty good story. I don't know. I just like that movie. I think it's a really good movie. So I'm not going into this expecting to hate it. I really love Smurfs: The Lost Village. But yeah, I'm not a big fan of those live action ones. The trailers haven't been that great for this. But we'll see. We'll see if they can bring in some of that magic of Smurfs: Lost Village. It feels like a movie that nobody wants. Like I don't know. It's just I understand that the studios feel a need to to tie IP to their properties and not take a risk on original films. I get it. I understand it. But then again, also I feel like sometimes it causes them to make foolish choices because they assume that just because something has an IP, that therefore there's a demand for it, there's a following for it, people are going to be watching it. And I also don't think that's necessarily the case. It's certainly, I don't know what they spend on this, so I have no idea, but like it's certainly just because something has an IP doesn't mean that it's going to do well, like I mean, I was thinking about with Broadway actually. There's a lot of times when they'll make a Broadway musical off of a popular movie, but just because a movie is popular doesn't necessarily mean that it has a fan base. Like this is weird, but like as an example, so The Notebook, hugely one of the most successful romances ever made, very successful movie. But I don't really feel like The Notebook has like a hive around it of people who like love everything in The Notebook and like are dying to see a Notebook musical on Broadway, right? Like just because something has a popular IP doesn't mean that it necessarily is like a sure thing, right? And big surprise, the musical, like it did okay, but it didn't last that long on Broadway because there's just not that like huge horde of Notebook fans out there ready to spend the big bucks on a Broadway musical. Whereas like I think something else is maybe that has like a real hive and following behind it is probably a safer bet, when you're talking about Broadway musicals. And then of course it has to be good, which I heard the Notebook one is good, but I don't know. I just think sometimes they can have sort of IP blindness to it when it's not actually got a hive around it. It's not actually a sure thing, and they think it's a sure thing just because of that. And I feel like the Smurfs movie is a good example. I don't think that many people are interested in it, are excited about it, or I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but that is interesting. So let's see here. They forgot to call the Nickelodeon Smurfs TV show woke because Smurfette is no longer the damsel in distress, right? Yeah. I mean, it's absurd. It's absurd. We did get today the trailer for the SpongeBob movie. So I think this is coming out in December. I don't know if it's on Christmas or before Christmas. Anyway, and what bums me out is that they could easily make this 2D. Like the show is still in 2D. But they do the CG. But I thought it looked pretty funny. I've enjoyed the SpongeBob movies, except for that Sandy one. That was terrible. But for the most part, I've enjoyed the SpongeBob movies. I haven't watched the Plankton one yet, but yeah. And what's interesting is so they did a SpongeBob musical, and it's not my favorite, but it is kind of a really weird musical because every single song is written by a different person, which is kind of weird. So anyway, if you get a chance to see, I think it's on Paramount Plus. There's a pro shot of it, so if you want to watch SpongeBob the musical, you can see it. Let's see here. One more. Let's see here. How would you feel if Disney makes live action remakes of Meet the Robinsons and Bolt? I mean, Bolt is it's cute, it's charming, but there's not real like the story isn't why you watch it, you know? I mean, if they did fake CGI dog, absolutely no interest. And there is CGI dog in Superman, but he'd be the lead character in Bolt. So no, thank you to that. Like at least in the Lady and the Tramp movie, they used real dogs for most of it. So please, none of this fake dogs. Meet the Robinsons. Maybe I could see that. I could see Meet the Robinsons. Yeah, why not? That's all about humans. So I don't see why you couldn't make that into live action. And I feel like there's parts of that are a little messy that you could work on and move things around and change things and make it a little bit better. I mean, I like Meet the Robinsons, but okay. But yeah, I just thought Superman did such a good job with the character and making him likable and making you root for him and you're invested in what was happening. That's why it worked for me. Was I just really liked him, and and so you're invested in his journey because he is a compelling character. I could have used more time with Lois and Superman, but still, what we got was pretty rom-com-y, so that's fun for me, and it just balanced everything. I thought pretty well, pretty well. There's definitely critiques to be made, but I won't want to spoil it. But he was a very good character, and that was most important to me when it came to Superman and a Superman movie, and so they nailed it in that regard to me. So that is the movies that I've been watching. And like I said, I have Grease 2 review coming up for Teen Movie Month on Saturday. So you should look forward to that. Pretty good response to the Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen. That was cool to see. A pretty good response to that. So yeah, you never know what people like, what people won't like. So I just try to make stuff that I like, and hopefully other people might like it. So there we go. All right, let's talk about theater that I have seen. A lot going on lately. Very busy. Let's see here. Okay. So I saw a new original musical called The Fork, and this was at the Hive Collaborative. And the Hive is really cool because they offer their space for lots of shows being workshopped. And so if you want to see something that's in development that they're still working around and you want to actually like maybe give some feedback to them and be part of something, like that's cool to me, I think. And that's the case with this. It's about these two brothers that own this Italian restaurant. This critic comes in and various shenanigans happen where the critic ends up being unconscious, and then they're like, are we going to write the review? And it had an old school sort of comedy slapstick value to it that I really enjoy, that kind of humor. So I enjoyed it. I think it has potential to keep working on it. I don't think that the songs are really that necessary. If we're up to me, I would like make it a straight play and make it very funny. Kind of like The Play That Goes Wrong, kind of that feel, or the 39 Steps or something like that. There's been a lot of really good straight plays, comedies in the last, while. So that's what I would do if I were them. But I did enjoy it. So then, speaking of The Play That Goes Wrong, I saw The Play That Goes Wrong at the Ruth, and I saw it with my family. So that was fun to get to see. My sister was in town, and I've seen The Play That Goes Wrong many times. So the shock value of some of the things that happen isn't quite there for me as it was like the first, maybe even second time I saw it. Certain things that happen are very over the top. But what I liked about this production is that the director allowed them to ad lib quite a bit. And so they had this like really funny bit about Star Wars that was really funny. But my favorite was the inspector. At a certain point, he asked a question, kind of to the other actors and the other things like that is part of the script. He asked this question, and then somebody in the audience was was like saying something about it. I can't remember. And he said, the actor says, uh, he says, "Look, this is not Dora the Explorer. You don't get to comment from the audience." And that was so funny. It was such a funny ad lib. So because they allowed their actors to improvise, it just made it something that I've seen many times and is a little stale. It made it fresh and exciting and funny. So that I really appreciated that about it. Okay, then I saw Into the Woods. This was at Creekside. I'm not the biggest Into the Woods fan. In fact, it's kind of interesting. This last month have been a lot of me seeing stuff that I'm like not that crazy about, but like I'm a professional. And so, of course, I'm not going to see something and then not give it a fair review just because I don't like love Into the Woods or I don't love some of these other things. So I still am professional enough to know what is a good version of this material. And this was outside. And what made it really fun was that it was in an amphitheater that's literally in the woods. So you kind of got a back and forth between the characters and the actual woods, like people coming out of the woods. That was fun. That added a layer, I think, to this that I appreciated. I'm just not that big a fan of the subversion of kind of where he does with the characters. It's just not my favorite. But they were excellent. The singing was good. They kept things very simple on the stage, like almost no sad snow, because I think that they're in the woods. So like the woods is your setting. So that was neat to see them do that. Okay. Then I saw Joseph in the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. Joseph is very popular here. It's done by a lot of companies. So again, I've seen it many times. But this, I thought they did a good job of allowing some creativity without going overboard. I've seen some productions of Joseph where they're like bringing in boy bands and like Taylor Swift in one I saw, it was just like out of control. So this allowed for some creativity. Like there were some funny Utah-based jokes, that you'd get here, things like that, but without losing the heart of the show. So it was a very good version of Joseph's Technicolor Dreamcoat. This is at Timpanogos Community Theater, and they're always great. Really good. Okay. Then I saw The Little Mermaid at the Ideal Playhouse, Heber Valley. This is still going on, so if you want to see it, this is a small cast for this show. Like they only had 3 of the sisters, things like that. But they did what they could. I'm not the biggest fan of this Broadway adaptation. I've seen a lot of things that I'm not the biggest fan of, but I like the way they use the projections coming out into the audience on the walls. That was kind of cool to feel like you're in the ocean. And the Ursula was really good. And they had a video during the final act with Ursula coming up, and they filmed her, and that was kind of fun. You get that ending of the movie with the ha ha, and the things. I liked that they integrated the video. That was good. Okay. Let's see here. Did you look up the How to Train Your Dragon live spectacular? I told you. No, I completely forgot about that. So thank you for the reminder. I apologize. I will check that out. Okay. Then I saw Something Rotten at Hope Box, and I love Hope Box. They're an incredible company, and what they do is they have a Hope Box recipient for every single show, and they fundraise to help somebody going through cancer. And I think that's just an awesome thing that they do. And Something Rotten is just so funny. I like the ones that kind of lean in to the into the Easter eggs and the jokes a little bit more than the ones that kind of hold off on that. And this one does lean in quite a bit to those Broadway Easter eggs and different things like that. Very funny, very good. So yeah, enjoyed it very much. Then An American in Paris at the Ruth. I'd already seen this once before earlier in June. I saw it again because I wanted to see Riley Rogers, who is from Utah, from Ballet West, and she was amazing. What she could do with her body and the just her dancing was unbelievable. This is an absolutely stunning show. You would never expect to see this quality of a show in like a community theater in Utah. Like, it is so well done. I've seen this show on Broadway, and I think this was as good as Broadway minus not having live musicians. So, and I don't say that lightly. I was just reading something where it's like I use that very sparingly, that's good as Broadway, so that when I do use it, you know that I mean it. But the thing about Broadway is that a lot of things that make Broadway special is just that it's new. There are a ton of people in Utah that are Broadway worthy as far as their skills and their talent and everything like that. And so the biggest differentiation to me behind what I often see in community theater here in Utah is often more a question of budgets and newness, as far as it being different from Broadway. As far as the talent, I think I've seen many that are on that level, if not more so. So, okay. Oh, make sure you check out, I was on KSL Movie Show last Friday. So that was really fun. I got to talk to them about my favorite movies of the year so far, and my thoughts on Jurassic World Rebirth. So definitely, if you could check that out and let them know, oh, we love having Rachel on, that would really help me out. That would help my career out a lot if they got like positive reinforcement on their Facebook page or on just all over. If they heard that, oh, we like this, that would be awesome. So if you want to help me, that would be amazing. Oh, I forgot. I saw F1 again. F1 the movie again for the second time. That is such a fun movie. It's just so visceral. It's so charming. It doesn't waste, in my opinion, it doesn't waste time. Like it on like side characters or I just felt like it was such a good example of a movie that knows what it is and executes it well. And so I had so much fun even watching it a second time. Okay. So then I saw Matilda. And again, another show that I don't love. I have issues with Matilda, especially the escapologist plot, because it adds absolutely nothing to the story and it takes so much time. Like, there's nothing that you learn about Matilda or Miss Honey in the escapologist plots that you don't get in My House. That whole scene, Miss Honey explains everything. You don't need these long sections of her telling this story. I don't understand it. I don't get it. But so I think I think that the show is a little bit of a slog because of those really boring parts. But I think it does have some bops, and I like the overall message for kids to be independent, to form your own identity, and that you don't have to be like your parents, and that's okay. And it's also quite funny. Trunchbull is very funny. This version, it was cool because it was a combined production between Kaysville City and Hopebox, and so they were working on it together. And so that was neat to see. It was a little bit more simple than I was thinking, because I was expecting, since this is a collab, it was going to be a little bit bigger. But it still was quite enjoyable. And if you have kids, this would be a great little introduction to musical theater, is to show them Matilda. I just wish I liked the book, meaning the book of the musical, not Roald Dahl's book, the book of the musical. I wish it was better. to me, that escapologist plot is a major problem. And I was so frustrated with the Netflix adaptation of the musical that they cut out both of the songs sung by the parents. But then they kept in all the escapologist stuff. I'm like, why? That does absolutely nothing for the story. Like, it really doesn't. I don't understand. I don't get it. It's so weird. And the show is definitely over long. That show is almost 3 hours, which is too long for that material. Cut it out. Cut. Oh, I wish I had that kind of power. But still, it has a lot of positive attributes to it. And this is a cute production. So if you're in a Kaysville area, you should check it out. So that is everything that I've watched and I've really had a great time. It's been a really very busy last month or so. So I hope that you enjoyed this, and thanks so much for the comments. And let's see here. We got a couple other real quick. How would you feel if Universal Pictures and DreamWorks makes a live action Shark Tale remake? No, thank you. Why would I want that? That's a terrible movie. And I don't like the fake animals. You're going to have a real life sharks in your live action Shark Tale movie? That is an absolutely ridiculous idea. Okay. So is All Dogs Could Have a Christmas your least favorite animated film of all time, or plan to remake your top 10 worst animated films? Oh, that one is pretty bad. Maybe. I appreciate the suggestion. Cameron, that was a long time. A good memory. That was a long time ago that I did that about, I forgot that I had that as the worst. What was that, like 2017? It was a long time ago. So way to go remembering that. That one is pretty bad. I mean, yeah, maybe. I don't know. Ooh, then I'd have to watch it again. I don't want to have to do that. So there we go. That is everything I have to say, talk about. Let me know what you think of everything I've talked about. Remember, we got the patron group. We got that cool event happening this month with Natalie Nicole Gilbert, voice actress and singer. So if you want to hear from somebody that's in the business, it's a cool opportunity, and it will be a lot of fun. And there's just lots of other cool benefits for being a patron, and I would really appreciate if you check that out. And then I also have the merch store, got lots of ton fun theater and film inspired designs, so make sure to check that out. And like this video, subscribe to the channel, appreciate that. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.